Mrs. Keisha Isaac-Adams, our next guest, is a creative and assistant secretary in the Ministry of Entertainment, Entrepreneurship, and Talent Development. She is here to discuss with us creative arts in the Federation. So, now that I've gotten that official title out of the way, this is Kesha. Kesha.
Oh, Lord.
We go back many, many years, Kesha.
We do.
So the formalities, just for you, are going to be ditched a little bit because we're going to get to the comfort level.
I'm scared.
Oh, you are scared.
You don't need to be.
You don't have to be at all. All right, so after reading that introduction, I knew that you went to Edna Manley. I knew that you were interested in creative arts. Why don't you tell us what motivated you and what you learned while you were at Edna Manley as well?
Motivation. Good morning to everyone. Motivation to go to Edna Manley. Failure is what motivated me to go to Edna Manley. I was actually pursuing a degree in human resource management when I did level 1 at CFBC, and I was basically having burnout because I went to high school, I went to sixth form, I went to level 1 because I thought that's what was expected of me, do the whole academic run one time when you're young, and then in level 1 in accounts, economics, and stuff like that, I was like, I'm not hearing anything the teacher is saying.
Blah, blah, blah,
blanking out, and then I failed my exams. I was like, I failed my exams. I've never failed exams. Like, you fail in the term. But like to fail exams,
right.
And failing accounts, I was like, well, nobody likes accounts. Well, that's me, right? But I know a lot of people love accounts. But then I failed English.
Whoa!
And that sent me for a loop because English is my subject. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I remember going into the bathroom and just breaking down, crying. That was the only subject that affected me. The others, I was like, oh well, And then I decided, I'll take off a year. I went to the doctor. The doctor said, yes, you're done, right? And during my year, I was like, I want to be a bum for like the whole year. Just don't do anything and reassess my life, And my past agri teacher, he came. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm being a bum. He was like, would you like to come and teach agri? And I was like, oh, sure, because I used to love agri. And I ended up at Washi teaching agri. And while I was there thinking about it, I was like, what do I really want to do? And I remembered going to watch the university singers when they came. And I realized how much I actually loved culture and theater and stuff. Never actually been like really exposed to it beyond school skits, church skits and stuff like that, but I am always on the stage. Mm-hmm. We've always been on the stage, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm going to try for that. So instead of going to Trinidad, I ended up in Jamaica because, Jamaica is like the heartbeat of culture with Trinidad, but Jamaica had the program that I really wanted to do. So I ended up doing a joint course of drama between UE and Edna Manley. So that's how I ended up there. Failure. Wow. Yesterday I saw a quote that says, creatives fail and they fail often. So yes, I guess that's me.
Wow, I mean, that's a great story. I didn't know that's how you ended up there.
Yes, that's how I ended up there.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you're saying to me that you didn't do much of any creative thing before that time?
Just singing and little skits.
For some reason, I just imagined that you were one of those people who came out of the womb acting and painting and dancing and dramatizing.
Oh, I did arts in high school, but I didn't get to take it to CXC because it was clashing with my business subjects. And like I said, because I thought that is what was that is what was expected of me, to do something that would make money. You had to fit into certain categories. Doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. Right. One of those. So I wasn't going to be a doctor. Nope. I went to physics class once, and when I saw the math in it, I was like, may I please be excused? And I knew that wasn't for me. So it might have been a little rebellious. I have a little rebellion in me why I went the other way, because I remember when I decided to do drama, my dad was like, can you make money off of that? I was like, yeah, have you seen the movies?
Right. Right.
But he didn't really have that much confidence in that, and my mother was just like, whatever you want to do, that's you, you know. So I just went, not too much support, but I went anyway. And even where the government was concerned, there was like zero support. You know, I had economic costs when I was doing business, but then I had to reapply for economic costs to switch because the 2 years had passed, and they denied it.
Whoa.
They said it's not on our priority list. So I said, so what am I supposed to do? And she said, undertake your costs. I was like, all right.
So you were part of, are you the owner? Sorry, not part of. You're the owner of a production company.
Yes.
Owner, part of. Right,
Yes,
right.
along with my husband.
Okay, okay. So
owner.
part owner, yes. Can you tell us the inspiration behind that?
Okay, so currently our production company is called NuAge Productions. When I met my husband, Dele, he had a film company called NuAge Productions, and my original theater company was called Nubian Arts Productions. Remember that?
Yes,
one?
I do.
Yes, so when we got married, we merged them.
Aw.
So you have NuAge from Nubian and Mage. So
Oh,
we put those together so that we operate as one for film and stage. So we there's no getting away from like our creativity. So even though we don't have a very strong theatrical or film presence on the island at the moment, we've been working to change the whole scene, you know. It's gradually getting better.
it is.
Yes,
Slowly
it's
but
gradually-
surely.
Yes,
Right.
you know, slow and steady wins the race.
Yes.
So our main goal is edutainment. We want
Tell us what that is.
Edutainment is educating through entertainment. So the topics and the subjects that we basically put out there, you enjoy yourself, but you come away learning something. Because if the audience doesn't feel anything and they don't learn something, then what's the point?
Correct.
You know?
Give me an example of that.
Okay, the most recent example I can come up with is the collaboration we did with the Ministry of Health for Exploring the V, which was, most persons would call it a version of the vagina monologues. But it was a little bit more than that, right? It was a series of all the genres put together: singing, dancing, drama, and all of that, poetry in particular, where the performers addressed different issues surrounding
Feminine, yes.
us, you know, us, and how society views people like us are solely based on the fact that we have vaginas. That's it. You know, all the misconceptions around menstruation and, you know, puberty, and even the naming of the body parts and stuff like that. So we dealt with how, you know, sometimes men prey on young girls because after 12 is lunch.
Yes.
Stuff like that. How, you know, sometimes women bring men into their homes and they end up preying on their daughters and their sons. And we even dealt with how women and men interact, and how sometimes we don't give men enough props for protecting and taking care of women. So we didn't leave the men out. No, we did not. Before that, we did one called this. All of this happened during the pandemic.
Still in the pandemic.
Yes. Well, over the last 2 years was Open Door Conversation, where we had 4 one-act play pieces in a series, and one was on domestic violence, which ended in the boyfriend killing the girlfriend, because the truth of the matter is sometimes you don't escape it. You know, normally when you see these things, you know, there's a happy ending, but we know for a fact that that's not always the case. So we wanted persons to see that. And then we had one on a marriage, a broken marriage, where things still weren't good at the end, but because the man begged, she ended up staying. And we showed that this is unhealthy. It's unhealthy, but they're going to stay in this, and it's just a vicious cycle. And then the other one was the woman being the antagonist, where she was the cheat.
Sometimes are.
Yes, she was the cheat, and she treated this man really bad. I was like, it happens on both sides. And so we wanted the public to see that, because all you hear in public is men are dogs, men this, men that. It's like, yeah, not, some women are terrible. So man bad, woman terrible. But we wanted persons to see that this is reality. And then the last one, which I'm going to call his name, Naeem, was a part of
that name
suicide.
sounds familiar.
Naeem was it was on suicide, and he had already decided, because of his experiences, because he had been molested as a child, and it changed his perception, and he thought that he was a homosexual, and he grew up perpetuating this persona, and he lived this way until like depression and everything took over, and he was ready to kill himself. And his reflection, he basically had a whole conversation with his reflection, and his reflection was trying to talk him out of it. So you could see what all the workings that go on in the mind before people, because I don't think persons like just jump into suicide. There's a process, and some persons decide at the end of the process to do it, and some persons decide not to do it. But in this case, he went through with it. And you know, there was a lot of silence, persons cried and everything, and I sat to the back and I was like, very good.
Very, yes, you felt something.
Yes.
So, I mean, you told us about all of these productions that you did, I mean, for the past 2 years?
Those were the last 2 years.
Yeah, past 2 years. What are we looking forward to now? I mean, we're almost at the end of our segment, but let us know what we're looking forward to going into 2022.
Okay, so we have...
You don't have to spill all the details, just let us know.
No, that's fine, because I want the general public to look forward to these things, because for that, it's motivation for me to actually get them done.
Right.
So we are supposed to do the second segment of Exploring the V. This is called Sex and Society. And then we have one that's called Man in Chains and The Sound of Silence. Those two basically deal with a lot of the social issues that we're facing with, where people are afraid to speak out, as well as our history as Black people, but from a male perspective of how he was treated as a slave, and how society society expects from him going forward in life.
Very good projects, and I'm looking forward to them. Of course, I know whatever comes out of NuAge is one for the books, and you can put them.
Yes,
so
quality.
thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this edition of Good Morning SKN. I get to say it again, Mrs. Kesh Isaac-Adams.